Alright guys, so what's up? Today we're bringing you something different, bit of a change of scenery, but it fits the deck we're profiling. We are doing a new take on the Tri-Brigade list that I brought you on my own not too long ago.
And then I completely changed everything about it, made it fun, made it better.
Well, we found a version that we have found a version that is really fun, very aggressive, very... You know, it's blind in second, and once you actually see the deck, you realise how much synergy these cards have.
Yeah, so like with blind in second, we're allowed to do it again in the format. Calamities has gone, you're not going to see vanity rulers and stuff like that anymore. So there's no reason to just not blind second, smash the board apart, kill them. And both of my decks died on the ban list, so I wanted to pick up the next coolest thing. And
if you want to pick up some other cool things, don't forget to check out thegamehq.co.uk, use our code SANCTUM5, it'll be in the description, get you 5% off discount on your singles. Let's get into the list. Alright, so this is the sort of general, I think it's 33 cards that we've agreed on that we'd both play. There is some variance between our builds just because we want to sort of achieve different things, I suppose.
It's still like in its infancy, so we still don't know what's like actually correct. Like there's so many cards as well you can test with this deck.
Yeah,
because like it's got support just like off everything that is those three types.
Yeah, it's got a plethora of stuff. Anything in the extra deck that's beast related, you find. So we'll start off with a 3 fractal, just standard.
It's like the best.
Mills any level 3 or lower beast, so you're set.
The amount of times as well you can use this just to bait and negate. Like people just throw things at this card, and a lot of the time it doesn't, like, because this is one of the things that like I was saying to you before I got the deck, is that with Tri-Brigades, it's almost like they've got one effect that you trigger, and then the rest become redundant, like, because everything just seems to be built to trigger like Nerval. So it's like, that's why I like Kera so much, because it's the only one that actually does something different. Yeah,
half the time it's completely inconsequential as to whether you resolve this. But following off on that, you actually run 3 of the best one, which is Nerval. It's just the Searcher, self-explanatory. 3 Keras.
He's the best boy, man.
Yeah.
So this guy, he discards like one of the Tri types to summon himself, and then he's just got the typical effects. But then like, there's a lot of cards that you can play. Like we're playing Dangers at the minute with Bigfoot.
Yeah, you'll see. There's a lot of targets for him. He's just as well. You can sometimes. The one flaw with this deck I've found is that you suffer from like monster clog. So you'll have hands that are just chock full of monsters, and it's like, well, what do I do?
This guy fixes it.
He just fixes it completely. And then this is something that Jake runs. It's the 2 kit. I run 3.
So like, there's a spell card which like actually just tutors this card, and I feel like when it comes to the actual sort of like Tri-Brigade monsters, this is the one that becomes the most redundant. The quickest.
I agree.
So like, because all this one does is it's just extra copies of Nerval.
Yeah, it's if you don't know, it's when it's sent to the grave, it's an extra mill of a Tri-Brigade monster. But
so I think the thing that would absolutely smash this deck would be if they got another monster that triggered in the grave.
Yeah, well I think they are due some support. If you look, they've got 2 beasts, 1 winged beast and a beast, so they're due.
So fingers crossed.
I think that's a fairly standard one that we've agreed upon. I do like the 3 kit, but ultimately it doesn't really matter.
But like, we'll keep kit aside because we're going to talk about this later.
Yeah, kit comes up. We only need 1. So next we've got the 3 Raven.
This card is insane.
This was the thing I will wholly attribute to you finding.
You know what this card reminds me of?
What's that?
It's like a little teeny tiny master plan.
yeah, I see what you mean.
There's nothing once per turn about it, and then like there's a bunch of different like fire formation targets you can actually play in the deck as well. Like for instance, like the standard that you definitely should just be playing a 3/10 key, obviously.
Of course.
But I've been playing with one called Domei, which is like a monster reborn when it's sent to the grave.
Which we will get into at the end. There's going to be some other options you can run.
You can obviously always play Tensu to get an extra normal summon, and then you can play Gyoko as like a side deck card as like to stun back row.
But for the uninitiated, essentially what it does is when it's on the field and sent to the grave, you can set a fire formation from your deck. So that can be through a link summon, it can be killed, it can be whatever. So it's really versatile with a spell that we absolutely love.
And it's not a hard once per turn either. So.
No, it's not. So we'll keep one aside just for the later, and then we run the 3 Tengu, which I will attribute to myself.
This card is insane, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm surprised no other try lists, because I'm in the groups on Facebook and whatnot, and I'm quite active, and I'm surprised I haven't seen anyone else mention this.
How sick is this card against actual Tri-Brigade when they stumble? So like when they stumble, they only usually end on the Wind Barrier statue, and then like maybe the double dragons.
Yeah.
So like you just summon this, and then you declare the attack, and then they can bounce this back with the double dragons, and then you just summon another one, and then this can attack the statue, and it's just like
it's really silly. It's really good, and also as well, you'll find, and I know you'll know from playing Jake, you'll often get to points when you're going in second, you'll make your access code with the Shiraig and using this, and then that is 8k exactly with the access code in this. So
It's become 63, yeah.
yeah, it's just another versatile. It's another good Tenki target as well. Which
I think this is usually what I always search up on Tenki because, like I said earlier, the fractal, it doesn't matter a lot so long as you can trigger Nerval in any other way, which there are a number of ways.
Yeah.
Like you can just go for the Tengu, and look, there is a sick interaction with this card and this, for example.
Yeah.
So like for instance, when you go second, you can like drop Alpha, and then you can normal summon a Tengu. And then you can activate Alpha's effect and target Tengu, and then because Tengu triggers when it leaves the field, this bounces back to your hand and then summons another one. And then what happens now is you can link these two away into your Ferrogy, and then this Tengu goes and summons this one. And then when you link these two away, because Tengu is mandatory, even though you don't have a Tengu in your deck, it has to activate as Chainlink 1. But then Ferrogy goes as Chainlink 2 and puts this back to the bottom of your deck and instantly summons it.
It is brilliant, but yeah, Tengu's great. It's one of the big flaws of the Liberalus Tri-Brigade build as well, is that you'll find that your Tenkis are like really sort of poor, especially after turn 1.
It's what I think in the Liberalus list, I think I'd definitely play something like Wolfbark. Just to have something good to search off Tenki.
So there we go with the Tengus.
And
so
then
next,
we are blind in second, so we can play big boys like this, yeah.
And it's just perfect for the deck, absolutely perfect.
In the format as well, it's insane. Like this card against Dragon Link, like you drop this and they scramble.
Yeah, it's an instant win. It's really, really good. There's not much to talk about really, but it's so good.
Because they have to negate it with the Savage Dragon.
Yeah.
The Spheres does nothing to it. The Dragon Maid Trap does nothing to it. And it's just like, and then the fact that it's level 8 comes up for me as well, because I play a specific extra deck card, which you don't.
We'll get into though.
Yeah, so like we'll talk about it when we talk about the next cards, innit?
But it's also really good as well because you'll find that if you're in a grind game, which this deck grinds like surprisingly for a going second deck, excuse me, that's like trying to kill, it grinds really well. So you'll find that you'll have a number of stuff, and Shiraig can search this, and it's just you're set up.
Shiraig searches like everything in the deck, yeah.
Yeah, but in theme we're going with the Beast Dangers. Now you like Thunderbird,
yeah. So
you?
like in my list, like I said, being level 8, the Alpha matters for me. Like so because I play 1 Dingirsu and 1 Zeus in my list, but I also play 3 Thunderbird like on top of this.
You have a lot of targets,
and so like the reason is because when you go second, all you need is like a Tengu or a Raven or like the cards that get you to those, and then like extenders.
Yeah.
So like the Dangers fill it up, this does it as well. But like if you can get 2 level 8s on the board, which you do a lot of the time without even committing a normal summon or like an important summon, if you then turn these into something like Ding against a deck like Eldritch, you can then play without them being able to conk you, without them being able to punishment you.
Yeah.
So it's like, it might not even be correct, but I've just been enjoying doing that at the minute.
And then it gives you the access to Zeus in the main phase too. But irrespective of that though, these are sort of the ones we've agreed that are the best. You're blind in second, they're going to have more face-up cards than face-down ones usually. And they're just beasts, and they're just free. They're just free value.
I search this a lot of Shiraig as well.
Yeah, I do as well, funnily enough.
Because like, other than Keras, it's the only one that actually like summons itself with nothing in it.
And cycling through your cards as well, so many of these have discard effects.
Yeah, imagine just hitting your Nerval or your kit with one of these. And
it's just fantastic.
Just free, innit?
But that's it for the monsters with generally
and targeting Bigfoot with Alpha sick as well, because then you just get to Bigfoot again.
Yeah, but they're the ones that we've generally agreed are sort of the standard that we found. And then of course for the spells, we don't run any traps, but for the spells
you have to play.
It doesn't even warrant really discussion.
Like this card is so much better in this list as well, because you've got like more targets.
Yeah, you have actually good targets as well.
You've got Raven, you've got Tengu, and then obviously the Fractal, and then like a card that we're playing around with at the minute, but we don't want to say is like for sure you should play, is 5-Fist Buffalo.
Yeah.
And like even though that's a card that you can mill, you can also just search that as a Keras discard in it.
Yeah. The next is the Tri-Brigade Airborne Assault. Again, being in the Facebook groups, you don't see many people running this, which is a bit of a surprise to me. I do kind of get it, but
because it locks you out of Xyz in it in the Liberalus.
Yeah, but it's really good in this, especially when you have such chongas. You have your Bigfoots, you have your Alphas. You know, you have Tengu's a big guy, Fractal's big, so you have tons of targets to get at your Nervals and whatnot.
And then like with any of the big Dangers, and then with Alpha, this can get like into Raven, Tengu, Kit. So it's like, well, not Kit, Nerval, sorry.
Nerval, yeah. It's brilliant. It's really good.
Just opens the deck up,
and then like the favourite cards.
The best card that gets you into like any of these two is Onslaught of the Viking. So it's got a Cyber Dragon like activation requirement, so you need to control no monsters and your opponent needs to control a monster. You just activate this and then you summon a Fire Beast Warrior Wing Beast from your deck. It dies in the end phase and its effects on the field are negated, but it's just completely irrelevant because
you get these which activate in the grave.
You get the graveyard effects.
It's a Viking structure deck card, if I'm right in thinking. It's very, very old.
I think it got a reprint in Hidden Summoners was on with the Prank Kids.
Oh, okay, yeah, but it's very overlooked. Especially seems like you'd read this now and you'd think it was specifically made for this deck.
And it's sick as well because like you can activate this, and then because both of these are little monsters, you will usually always be able to summon one of these and then drop Alpha on top of it as well. So like it's not blocking you out of anything.
Yeah, you're getting your free value, aren't you? So that's it for the sort of generally agreed upon main deck that we run. The rest are sort of flex spots and preference, which we will go through now.
Do we want to go through the main deck stuff, or do you want to go through the solid
we'll go through the main deck stuff first. It makes the most sense.
So you play your third kit then?
Yeah, so we've got the third kit, which again we've discussed. So another interesting card is the Ancient Warriors, Guanjun.
So this card's funny because against the Lyrillus deck, if you draw this card, you break whatever board they can make.
Yeah. So like the barrier statue.
Yeah, so they've got barrier statue, they've got Samorg, and not Samorg, Appaloosa and Double Dragoons. So there's nothing about this like this card summoning from the hand that's once per turn. So
and it is an effect. It's not it's not a condition like Alpha or something.
So you can just slam this down. They're not going to negate this with Appaloosa because
if they read cards, they won't.
Yeah, it's just like. This card's insane, and then it lets you hard make the double dragons as well,
which is like can't be understated. Yeah, I could totally see arguments to play 3 of this and 1 of the Sun Mu or something similar, but this is really good. Maybe a place in the side deck for this. So the next is Dark Ruler No More or Droplets, preferably Droplets, but we've been silly and sold our 9 copies between us in preparation for the ulti. But yeah, Droplets make sense. You're blind in second, you've got all your discards. You know,
I always play Droplets when we go second.
You should. The pots. The pots are cards that warrant discussion. Now I run Desires.
So I think what makes sense is that if you want to play a pot, if you're playing Droplets, then play Desires, and if you're playing Dark Ruler, then play Prosperity.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Because this card makes it so that you're not going to OTK, and so does Dark Ruler.
Yeah.
And like, whereas this and Droplets, you can still just kill them.
But I think you've been playing it slightly different to me, where I've been trying to just kill them as fast as possible game 1, whereas I think you're going for a more sort of break the board and set up your own.
I've been messing about a lot. Like I want to see what the deck can do rather than just because
it's hard to express.
It's so easy to go Appaloosa, Charade, and Access
after breaking a board.
Yeah,
and it's like it's hard to explain unless you test this deck, which I urge you all to do. How sort of impactful the deck actually is. Like you break boards with just consummate ease. It's unbelievable. But that's it for the pots. Something I main is Mind Control. Just good blind second stuff. Nothing really to talk about. It breaks a lot of boards on its own, to be honest. You've got Talents. It's just standard blind in second cards.
I think like the thing is with Talents is that like I think it's especially good in blind second decks if you struggle to deal with Dragoon. But this deck doesn't.
No, it doesn't. Well, Charade against Dragoon, Alpha against Dragoon, so Reborn and Succession.
These are things that I haven't tested yet, but I actually really like the idea of Reborn especially.
Yeah.
Just because it actually adds a layer of sort of like, it gives the fractal a purpose.
Yeah, it does. Well, the fractal will always just be binned in the grave, so being able to use its effect, it turns this into like a +3 if you're making charades and stuff like that, which is really good. The next little package we'll talk about is what we have mentioned previously. So it's the Buffalo Dome, which is the 5 formation card Jake mentioned, and the Eagle to go with it in the extra deck. So the people will know the combo of this, but basically if you have this, you can make this with 2 Beast Warriors, or you can just cheat it out with the Tri-Brigades. It negates the cost of your 5 monsters, so you can have this in the grave. Well, I believe you can bounce the Tenki, can't you?
Yeah, so this mills this by bouncing a Tenki to your hand, or the Dome. And then this can just summon itself for free at the grave.
So you're just getting a free link for you.
Typically when you summon this, you'll usually do it with, or I usually do it with Raven Tengu.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And then you got like Appaloosa and everything just from doing that.
And the Dome, it's a ritual summon card. You don't use it for that, but when it's sent to the grave, you can revive a Fire Fist. So you get back Raven. Yeah. And then because Raven isn't a once per turn, Raven then gets Tenki. Like you just set up for the turns preceding, aren't you? And you can do that by sending it with Buffalo through its hard effect. But that's just an engine. I think I would run this. I think it just needs finely tuning a bit.
I think like this is absolutely fine.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure whether this is the right other 5 formation to play, because I think you definitely want to play a 4-5 formation with the triple Raven and with triple Onslaught.
I think Tensu could be big.
Tensu is probably like the better one, or even Gyoko.
Siding,
yeah. So like with Gyoko, especially against like, because you can use that card against every deck. So even the Dragon deck will set a trap because it searches the Dragon Mage trap.
It's basically like a continuous night beam for people who don't know.
And then the Eldritch deck, you usually know where Conk is.
Yeah.
Or you know where Sang is, like you know where one of the two is.
Which is brilliant. So yeah, that's it for the Fire Fist bits. Other bits are the Conductor you can run in the extra deck with the Featherstorm and the Samorg.
So like, this isn't stuff that you'd play in the main deck. This is stuff for when you think your opponent's sending you first.
But yeah, it just reinforces. You can make good boards going first anyway, even with all your sort of going second cards. But I'm not too keen. I've played Lyrillus Tri-Brigade. I'm not keen on the Samorg engine. I think it's a frailty of the deck.
I think
I think it'll get found out soon in the format.
I'd just be summoning Nervlin setting this.
Yeah, it's not even the worst. This interaction though is really good. Well, indeed, this interaction is really good. It's just you'd run this because you'd need the Wing Beast to summon it hard. But you don't. If people don't know what this does, it's a bit like Caliuga. So you'll activate it and it negates every effect that they activate, not just the monsters they have. So it's just a turn end basically. But I think it's something that needs ironing out and
it's like when I've been playing with this, I side 2 of this, 3 Traptic and 2 Dynamiscus.
Right.
It means that with Dynamiscus as well, it means that you can keep your Bigfoots in and you can use that as disruption.
Yeah,
and it means that you got like a main deck out to like Mystic Mine.
Yeah, so that's it for that. And then there's something that Jake is championing is of course the Ding and the Zeus as the aforementioned.
But like you don't necessarily have to play Ding. You can actually like play rank 4s because with Buffalo, Tengu, like making rank 4s isn't like impossible.
No,
so, like,
well,
you've tried Tiger King.
Yeah, I was playing Tiger King with this because it's an out to Dragoon, but then you don't actually need out to Dragoon in this deck. But yeah, this is just something to think about. So Jake's going to take us through the sort of agreed extra deck after the little flex spots bits.
So 2 Ferocious, which I think is just pretty standard. This is sort of like, this card reminds me of a Soul where you want your opponent to hand trap you before you summon this, and like you want to force out all the interruptions before you get to this card.
As I said before as well, it just fixes when you get those cloggy monster hands, doesn't it? And the draw and put back is like underrated, man.
Especially like with the Tengus and stuff.
Yeah, it's so good.
Double Dragons, which is like my favourite card in the extra deck. This is the card I want as the OTS ulti, but probably will not happen. Darumidal, this is like particularly good in this list, especially because you get so much access to Tenki, and then with the Dome as well, you can like use this to pop the Dome to pop a card, and then the Dome like revive something. I can't say I've ever used the Destroy by Battle effect.
No, I don't think I have either.
But it's cool that like you can do that.
You got your Rugal.
Rugal, you absolutely have to play. It's essentially like a vanilla, really.
Yeah.
It's just a bridge.
Yeah. I do like it though.
But there's somewhat weird hands as well, where like this is the interruption that you can set up because this triggers Shrike.
Probably jump in there and say that you should be running a Harass Valga, the Eagle.
Yeah. So there's
just the DD Crow.
Yeah, it's like a link-free Wing Beast, and it's Wind, which is important because it's important to have your different attributes for access code.
Yeah.
And all it says is you can target a monster in your opponent's grave and shuffle it into the deck.
Yeah, we just don't have one between us, which is annoying.
Yeah, we both thought that each
the other had one. Yeah.
Shiraig, which is like, it's insane, isn't it?
I think you have to run at least 2.
There's just something about this deck that reminds me of Orcus, because this is just Ding.
Yeah, it's just Ding that floats. So
and then Appaloosa. So like I said, like what the sort of like the plan is you're gonna go Appaloosa, access code Shiraig, and then you just win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You often find as well, going back to the Shiraig and the Rugal sort of interaction, is that you'll go in second, so you'll break their board. A lot of the time you can end on like this and the Ancient Warrior link if you haven't made your Appaloosa for whatever reason. Maybe you've activated like, you've messed up with your activations, and that's often enough.
Sometimes you just get ballsy and don't need to make Appaloosa.
Well, that's if you've broke a board that they've really committed to, that's enough, because you've got a banish and the bounce, and like you're searching, you're floating. It's really, really good. Honestly, the strength of this deck really can't like be understated.
And then there's Almirage.
I run this.
Well, I haven't been playing Almirage just because I think that like when you use like I get the point is that like it makes your hands live.
Yeah, well it turns on kits.
It feels like any time where you're gonna do this, your hand is so bad that you shouldn't win anyway.
I see your point, but it's just insurance, isn't it? And I was worried initially because you can't actually really get it off the board if you use something like Airborne or something, but you can just leng it and target something, so it's not a problem. And
then the last 2 cards are just the Nightmares. I do play Cerberus in one as well. I play Cerberus, Phoenix and Unicorn just because, especially like when you go second, you can like, especially when you got access to Tengu, even though usually you'd be locked out of these in a typical list, you can actually go Phoenix or Cerberus and then Unicorn and then access before you've even used the Tri-Brigade.
Yeah, and it's just free summons with the Tengu as well. It's really good.
And then you're playing dangers and stuff to discard off this, so it's like, it's all just stonks.
It's all good. So that's what we've generally agreed on for the main deck.
So that was the profile, I guess. I think it's a very fun deck to play, and it's quite powerful as well. I just think that I really love Charade. I think that card is like broken.
It's set up to blind second in a lot of ways, isn't it?
But yeah, so that's the profile. We'd quite like to see if this deck could like sort of become the new Tri-Brigade standard.
At least until they're Lightning Overdrive. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, any suggestions, any thoughts, share them in the comments and one of us will certainly answer them. So thank you for watching.